Uh, as far as career moves are concerned, what would you do differently if given a second chance?
If I was given a second chance, I would be probably more cut and dry. Things that there's certain things, everything not for everybody. What is not for you, just move on. The sooner you realize that, and you know, the sooner you realize that, and the sooner you do it, the better off you are. Let the bridges you burn light the way.
Okay. Do you want to elaborate on this a little bit?
Yeah, it's like sometimes you're not, like the company needs something. They think this is good for you, but you don't feel it's good for you, or you have no interest in it. You're doing something that is not of interest to you. See, I firmly believe that you can have a plan, but a plan is just your plan. It does not, you know, it does not take into consider everything that can happen. So your plan has to keep changing. It will keep changing. But you know, uh, and many times, you you feel you can do better at something else, but that option is not there. So the best thing to do at that point in time is to do what's in front of you with the best of your ability, right? Do what best you do your best with whatever you have. Your short term goals, things that you think can, you know give you instant gratification. Do that. But if you feel that this is not something I can do on the long term, you have to keep doing it and doing it right, with to the best of your ability, until that option opens up.
Okay. Okay.
Right? What you want is not going to fall into your lap. Right? A lot
Mm-hmm.
of other things need to fall in line as well. So instead of having, you should have your short term goal, a medium term goal, a long term goal. But in my personal opinion, in my experience, the short term goal, and what you can say, what you can do, what you can work well and hard at and gain and do what's in front of you, that is, I think, the best bottom line. You can plan for something in the future. If I get an opportunity here, if I do this, if I do that, that's all great. You should do that. There's no harm in having a plan, there's no harm in having an agenda, but do what's in front of you with the best of your vigor and the best of your ability, and move forward.
Okay. Okay. Mm, you made a very interesting comment there. Burn the bridges and let them show you the way. Uh, I want to also ask you if what's the biggest myth that seafarers have about life ashore?
The biggest
Myth that
myth
seafarers, if huh,
the biggest myth that seafarers have is that it gets easy. It's not easy. Nobody's job is easy. Whether you're a technical superintendent or a commercial guy, it's not easy. It's just that it is a different uh, difficulty, right? So, like people, if they come ashore, they feel that now I'm ashore, now I can tell people what to do, I can tell the ship staff what to do. Say you come ashore as become a vetting inspector, or you come and handle the vetting for some company, or you come and become a technical superintendent, or you come into quality safety. You know, um, those are all, they're not easy. All those jobs are difficult. They all have consequences. So if you want to come ashore and think that it's going to become easy life for you, it's not easy. This has its own uh, routine and its own grind that you need to figure out here. Like when you're on the ship, you are the guy there, and you got to do it, and you figure out a way of doing it, and you do it. Here, it's not that you're the guy to do it. Here, you have people on top of you, have people below you. Everybody has to do a different job. People have different rungs. So the biggest difficulty of, I would find that when you're ashore, the biggest challenge is managing people. If you're able to manage your people, you can get anything done. Because after 20 years, 30 years, there is a tacit knowledge here that you gain, and nothing is difficult. Everything can be done.
How is managing people different when you're on board and now that you're doing it?
So see, when you're on board, everybody's got a clear cut box, right? I'm a fitter. I'm going for lighterage, and the ship is going to lighter. So I have to go and put the manifold, right? I have to go and put the reducer. You don't need to tell the guy. Usko malum hai.
Hmm.
You have to just tell him ki, that the ship is berthing at 12 o'clock.
Hmm.
So 99% of these guys will kind of line things up, and they'll say, I need another guy. Can you help me out? I need somebody in the crane. Can you help me out? And you do whatever you need to do.
Hmm.
Ashore
Hmm.
is not like that. Ashore, there'll be something will come up, and you're like, everybody's like running around, and you don't know, whose baby it is. First, you have to first figure out whose baby it is, and then figure out what you need to do next, right? So if there's a clear box and you have a clear idea as to what needs to be done and who is, responsible, that's great. But sometimes things
Hmm.
happen that you don't know who's there. You stuff that's half here and half there. So that
Okay. Okay.
kind of stuff is, somebody needs to kind of go and wrangle it, and take the bull by the horns and say, okay, X does this, Y does that, whatever's left I will do.
Okay. Okay.
That's
Huh.
that's what. And then of course, there's people on the ship also. There's people. There may be a intermediary in the middle. There may be class. There may be vetting guy involved. There may be other consequences. There may be port authority involved, right? All those guys you
Hmm.
need to
Hmm. Hmm.
handle, right? So you need to keep the agent in the loop. You need to keep the separate. If you're like got a problem like COVID times, right? Somebody caught COVID. Moment
Hmm.
somebody
Hmm.
caught
Hmm.
COVID, ship's going to get arrested. Ship going to get arrested means now everybody is going to get into a soup, because the guy
Hmm.
who got COVID also is going to get into a problem, and he's going to get COVID to everybody else also,
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
right? So those are this makes a very slippery slope here. There are no flights out. What are you going to do, right? So you kind of those kind of situations, right?
All right. The precariousness of shipping.
Yeah. So and then so there's no right answer, right? Your ISM manual is not going to tell you what to do now,
Uh-huh.
right? And the biggest thing about seafarers and shipping is that people are given a protocol. They
Hmm.
follow that protocol. Basically, critical thinking, thinking outside the box, using your own brain is all become number two. It should all be number one, and then the checklist. You follow what's in the manual, and then you stop using your brain after that.
Because anyway, I can relate to what you're saying.
This is one of the biggest shortcomings of being a seafarer. And the longer you stay on the ship, right, the longer it goes into your system.
Mm, mm. Okay. Okay. Let's take a departure from these serious conversations and a couple of lighter questions for you. By any chance,
Hmm.
do you still say Roger that or copy on WhatsApp or anywhere?
No, and now I stopped sailing 15 years ago. So
Okay.
that's all out of the system.
If you had to title the next chapter of your career, what would it be called? It seems like you are a reader, so
One day in the life of. One day at a time, man. You can't title the whole next innings.
no, just a
Take it.
chapter if.
Yeah, so the chapter would be called One Day in the Life of
Acha.
Captain Abhay
Okay.
Kumar. One day in the
Okay.
life of Abhay.
Uh, which port had the best shorely memories for you?
See, I went ashore in first two, three ships here. After that, surely stopped.
Oh,
Right? So the ports I
okay.
remember was like Venice, Hamburg, and Odessa. And it was my first time ashore. You're in Europe. Of course, exciting times. Exciting times. You did a lot of work. We were four cadets, and we did a lot of work. We were doing as much work as like the crew, and we had a very good chief officer who told you that this is the list. Finish the list, and then you can go.
Okay. Okay. All right. Fond memories, I assume.
And then that is how you learn to work extremely efficiently. You basically what took you till 5 o'clock in the evening was done like at 1 o'clock post lunch. Go.
Go. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Let's deep dive into the sale and purchase and let me take out my Notebook also. I would want to keep writing as you speak.
Hmm.
Uh, Specific qualifications which you think are preferred to enter in the field.
See, I think SNP can do it. Yeah. See, it's a see. There's for one thing, I think there's nothing within shipping that you know seafarers can't do. People have certain fixed ideas, but I can also tell you this: that different companies have different ideologies. Certain companies feel that these guys, masterminds, are very suitable for chartering. Certain companies don't employ masterminds to do chartering at all. So it
Okay.
just depends which field of thought you come from. And
What's the rationale for each? I mean, I'm sure there is
there's
something.
no rationale. I don't think there's any rationale. It's just a belief system that
Okay.
certain DNA comes from there. Yeah. There's a guy who, like, if the MD is a seafarer or a master mariner, he doesn't hesitate in giving XYZ job to master mariners or to chief engineers. You know,
Okay. Okay.
he feels if I've done it, they can do it, and it's not a big deal. But if uh, there is a certain if there are people who don't know, they're not familiar with shipping, yeah, they don't know. They feel that master mariner is matlab operation.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that is just and there's no logic to it. There's no justification to it. There is no it's just like somebody likes chocolate ice cream, somebody likes strawberry, somebody likes vanilla, somebody doesn't like
Okay.
ice cream
Okay.
at all. That's it.
What mindset would you say is best suited for yeah, surviving and progressing in this field?
Where you mean
I
in SNP?
in S&P. Now we are discussing S&P. I initially wanted to
You
ask you the skill set, but I think I would prefer you to elaborate on the mindset part of it. Mindset
see
and character
the
traits.
mindset is boss. Your SNP can be done for various reasons, right? One is that ship is due for dry dock, you don't want to do the dry dock, you're selling. Two is the market is extremely low, so you're buy. And market is extremely high, so you're sell. Whatever it is, you take a call. There is a reason, and sometimes it's just done because uh, some company wants to change their portfolio mix, right? Like Maersk sold all their LNG carriers overnight. They just didn't want to be part of LNG. There's few $1 billion, right? So the S&P guy is basically the guy who basically gets the best price. Come down to the price, but and you have to weigh it out. Would I, say for $100,000, would I spend a million or million and a half on dry dock? So you need to take that call, right? And you need to not only take that call, you need to convince the management also. So sometimes convincing other people is harder because everybody else also has their opinion. So you have to balance it out, and and if you do it right, it's a huge advantage technical wise also and commercially as well. It can have a multi layered impact because eventually the ship is there to charter out. Charter earns freight. The freight will be earned basis the ship. If the ship is a good ship, she gets more freight. If the ship is not such a great ship, you're not going to get as much money, right? So when you flip your ships and you're rotating your fleet, you're also looking at the fact that the earning capacity. You're deploying your cash to get the best return. That's basically it. And that could be a different segment. It could be, you know, various possibilities of various segments. It depends. Yeah, different companies have
And
different reasons for doing it.
how's the typical progressions in this field?
Progression, as in
I mean, once you enter, I don't know, when once you get inside the stream of sale and purchase, how do you progress?
you start with a internship. You go up to a point where you're doing independent deals. That's basically it. Yeah. And at the point to see that is why I got out of S&P after 6 years. No, because you're doing the same thing. You want to do other things. Some people don't. There is great nobility in that as well. You're consistent. You're doing the same thing over and again. You're happy. Some people are not happy. Some people want to learn something else. Some people want to do something else. Some people want to try their hand at other things. Everything is not, there's no plain answer to anything. It's your personal preference. Yeah. What would you like to do? Do you find it interesting? Some people find it interesting for 25 years.
Okay, okay. And is this role more prevalent in India or outside India? I mean, how would you differentiate the
See, it's basically
that?
asset play. Anybody who has a ship, it's the shipping is an international business. It doesn't matter where you sit and do it, right? So the role is prevalent in India as well, even as outside as well. Now you want to get into it and do it as a broker, or you want to do it for an owner. It's that is it depends. It's your choice and also your luck. But it's an interesting role. Yeah, it's an interesting role because uh, I find it interesting because it's and I did it. This is my second time around that I'm doing it. I find it
Okay,
hugely fulfilling because it has a very solid impact on the bottom line of the company. By flipping ships, by upgrading the fleet, by buying better ships, by buying newer ships, buying ships with our larger deadweight or better technology. See, it's like if you take it like if I have a 2000 built ship, right? 30,000 deadweight handy. I flip that ship and I buy a 40,000 deadweight ship, which is 2020 built, right? So what have I done? I've got a 40,000 deadweight ship. I've got a higher deadweight ship with a higher earning capacity, with better technology, less emissions, less fuel consumption, right? So the
okay,
same
okay,
money is being flipped and deployed into a more modern asset. So I've got a more fuel efficient ship. I've got a larger deadweight ship. I got less liability as far as EOAs are concerned, and I got less liability for my greenhouse gas emission, my MRVs. So it hits you, you know, uh, in a compound way, right?
okay,
And
okay.
you can look at your fleet as a portfolio.
How's technology affecting your area of work?
Technology doesn't affect us. Yeah. See, technology does not affect you because finally, see, this is stuff that AI can't do. Like AI is the biggest game changer right now. Everybody's talking about AI, but AI can't. AI can do the math, but all deals are not based on maths. Your Some deals are based on your gut instinct. Some deals are based on your portfolio. Some deals are based on where the company's strength lies, right? If the company tells you go buy if AI tells you go buy an LPG carrier and the company's never been in LPG, it's not a sensible decision,
Hmm.
right?
What about
So
technologies like digital twin, especially when you are buying an older vessel? Are you leveraging such technologies for your decision making?
digital twin will help us in what way? Yeah? Basically tell you what kind of but it'll help you in the technical part of it. How does it help? What do you mean by
It
digital twin?
Digital twin, if it is, I mean, there are different models of digital twin. There is an old vessel you are trying to purchase, and once you kind of key in that, this particular age of the vessel and yard and so, and it is able to map it to a model that it
Hmm.
already has. So
Yeah.
it may look on paper that it's a 14-year-old vessel, but if the digital twin is able to tell you that even though it is 14-year-old, the performance is as good as a 10-year-old, having that leverage helps you buy a better vessel at a cheaper cost. I mean, this is my
See,
hypothesis. I'm kind of validating
if
it
it's
with
a
you.
better vessel, it will not be cheaper. Everything, the guy who's selling, okay, he's not going to let go of his cash. He will tell you that I got a spare propeller, I got a spare tail shaft, I got a spare anchor, and he will value that in,
Okay, okay,
right? So when the ship is going for scrap, all these things are counted. They don't leave anything. How much steel you got, how much stainless steel, how much bronze. They look at your radio equipment and figure out how much gold and silver they'll get out of it, right? And they value it in. right? Uh, these kind of things, like one man's food is another man's poison here. If that happens, right, then depending on which end of the spectrum you're on, you could be in luck. But in most cases, that won't happen because the
Okay.
market takes into account everything, man. Like you
The
look at
price is factored into it, just like a
price
stock
is
market,
factored. The price is there's
stock
stock
price.
market.
Okay.
Stock market, like the stock market is going up. Stock market is going down. That's all sentiment here. 80%, 90% of it is all sentiment. The bottom line is that like you have like in shipping, it's a cyclical industry, right? You have a boom and then you have a bust, then you have a boom and you have a bust. So can you temper it in such a way that there is no boom and bust? You cannot.
Hmm.
People, you
Hmm.
can see that people
Hmm.
are building ships, building ships, building ships, building ships, and then it's going to explode. That's what happened. Too many ships, too much supply, right? So it's not, you can never get out of the cycle, right? But can you play the cycle? Yes. That's what our job is, to play the cards we're dealt as best we can.
Okay. Uh, Captain Abhay, I would like you to elaborate on a typical day. And where I'm coming from is, and I may be incorrect, there's only so many sale and purchase that you can do in a year. So how is the build up to it? Are you always in a flux of sale and purchase? How does that, I mean, how's that cycle
See,
for you?
sale and purchase happens in a cycle here. Like the market goes up, right? And suddenly you'll be selling like three, four, five ships together. And you're buying, you are, you could be, it'll happen back to, because it's the market cycle, right? Having said that, if I'm at the top of the cycle, right, I am selling, the other guy is buying, right? Why is the other guy buying? The other guy is buying because he thinks he's got exactly the opposite view to what I feel.
Hmm, hmm, hmm.
I feel it's top of the market and I'm selling. He feels market's going to go up. This is a good price, better to buy. It depends. So you're never going to have, if the market is in a complete flux, no deals will happen. Deals happen because people have got an opposite mindset. They believe two different things. They have absolute opposing views on the market. That's why they're doing it. Or it could be another reason. It could be just a normal change of hands. There've also been a situation where people are buying and selling in the same market, right?
Okay,
So if I'm buying and selling in the same market, I'm not making money, I'm not losing money, I'm just flipping my fleet,
okay, okay.
right? So I could be doing it for different reasons. I could be just doing it because I want to renew my fleet. So the typical day, like you're asking, the
Yeah,
typical day
exactly.
would
That's
be,
I want to know a little bit more about the grind of it,
see,
the
the grind of it
boringness of
is,
it, or the lull of it. If
see, after you do, 10 or 15 transactions back to back, you're very happy to have a lull, you know, you're like, okay, man, this is a good time to kind of, take the family on vacation. So you're very happy to have that, but the nature of the beast is such that you'll have like three, four deals. The market moves in such a way that you'll be executing three or four deals at the same time,
okay, okay,
and they're at different stages of completion. You know, so it can get really busy, but the times it's not busy. So this is like an interview question. What would you do if you had nothing else to do? What would you do if you had a light day at work, right? A light day at work means, you're not going to sit on sipping coffee, man. Your light day at work means you're going to clean up your desktop, you're going to do a little analysis, you're going to see what's coming up, what's happening next, who's doing what, am I missing something, is there a good deal on the market? You will analyze, okay, I've got, four sectors in dry bulk, I got four sectors in tankers, I got, four sectors in gas. What's looking good? What's the best place to get into? And this is a good place. Okay, this is the sector I should get into. You go out, you get a ship, you put the ship on the table and say that this is coming at this price. I think it's a good buy.
okay, okay,
And then it could be, then it goes into a different research mindset. It goes into people's opinions. It goes into what people think, what the management thinks, how much cash they got to deploy. Do they want to deploy the cash now? Do they not want to take a loan? Do they want to, just put their, company's cash into the system and buy? You know, so it's there. But the thing is, see, as a nature of the beast, shipping is such that people who get into shipping, they don't get out here. The day you get into shipping is like, you're done. Like, that's now, it's in your blood. The only day you get out is the day you die. It's in your bloodstream, and I can completely understand it here. It's there's never a dull moment. It's constantly churning. Either it's Brexit is happening, or bloody too much supply, too much demand, something or the other is happening, right? You're tracking Ukraine, Russia, you're tracking the Houthis, you're tracking Red Sea, you're tracking Trump, you're tracking everybody. It's a constant thing. Yeah, Trump said this to Putin. Now Putin said something to Trump. Now Trump and Putin will meet in Alaska, and now they will decide what happens future. How the next step would happen. You know, would Russian crude be, still sanctioned? Will gas get sanctioned? And something or the other is constantly going on. Yeah, so it's always invigorating. It's always interesting. It's always churning. So there's never a dull day. So once you get
Okay.
in, you never really get out. You know,
Wow, Hotel California.
yeah, you can check out, but you can't leave.
uh, what sort of metrics are you measured on? Is your work measured on?
How much money you make?
Okay. It's a pure play dollar
Yeah,
metric.
pretty much. Yeah, pretty much. Of course, it depends. Yeah. It depends on how the different companies perceive you in a different way. Yeah. They're looking at you from a point where you can, what kind of input you can give to the company. What's your greater role? You know, Sometimes, like, the company feels over leveraged. They feel that they've put in too much money, and it could get dicey, right? In the sense that you need to buy one wrong ship. Yeah, one wrong ship in you could mess up the entire company's bank balance. So the company might decide, okay, I we need to lighten our load a little bit, and we need to sell some stuff, and then you're the guy to do it, man. And you got to, like, you have they've called upon you, and this is the time to shine. And you go out there and you grip it and rip it and see what best you can do for the company, right?
Can you tell
So
about a project wherein you learned the maximum in sale and purchase?
see, like everything else, yeah, there is, if you I don't know if you're a big fan of Formula One, but it was Nicky Lauda, right?
Ah,
He said that
James Hunt.
the biggest, and James Hunt, right? So yeah, so he said Nicky Lauda's the biggest learning is in when you lose, that's when you learn the most, right? So you've had deals go sideways. When you have deals go sideways, then suddenly you're looking at an MOA, and then you're looking at all the holes in the MOA. You have an agreement in
Sorry, what is
place.
MOA?
It's an agreement of buying and selling.
Okay,
The agreement, the contract, right?
okay.
So when you sign the contract, you try and make it as tight as possible. And when things go sideways, then you see all the holes in it. And when you see all the holes in it, next time you are more cautious that you try and plug as many holes as possible. But having said that, a contract's a contract. If the counterparty is unreliable, no contract's going to tie them down. So the safest bet that you can make is that to ensure that the counterparty is legit. The best safety that you can have, you know, is to ensure that your counterparty is legit, in the sense that no contract can tie down somebody who is unreliable.
Okay.
If somebody is unreliable, they will always find a way to kind of, make things difficult or
Circumvent.
try and get out. Because I could sign a contract today and sell the ship 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, 8 months down the line. I can sign a contract today to sell the ship after a contract finishes 8 months, 10 months down the line. The market could be in a completely different state of affairs,
Okay, okay,
right?
okay.
So if he feels like he can buy a similar ship at a cheaper rate, he'll try and get out of the deal. So
Mm-hmm.
those are the kind of things that you have to play by ear.
Okay. If somebody is listening to this conversation and they want to kind of develop a practical understanding before making that complete switch, complete transition, is there any way for them to get a feel of it?
Yeah, you could do an internship, I suppose, with a broking house or a company or something like that. You could do an internship and get a feeling of, what how the deal is done.
Okay. And any sort of reading material that you could suggest
uh,
to not
the
just to
ICS
learn,
books
yeah, I mean,
the ICS
yeah,
books are a good guide. Yeah, it gives you a good flavor. And of course, there is Maritime Economics by Martin Stopford.
Maritime economics. Okay. Which
By
author did you mention?
Martin Stopford.
Martin Stockford.
Yes,
Okay.
that's the Bible on shipping economics.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Um, any advice to anybody who's looking to break into sale and purchase?
Give it your best shot, yeah. I mean, I also got into it completely by chance, and I was also told well before a year or two before I came in. I told them everybody told me that's a very difficult place to break into. It's a
Okay.
difficult place to break into, but difficult does not mean impossible.
Hmm. Okay.
Everything is difficult until somebody does it.
All right. On that philosophical, slightly philosophical note, I want to get into the segment wherein I would want you to give advice for the, say, the cadets, the second mates, the mates. What sort of advice would you have for their path forward, for their way forward? We can take it one by one for, say, cadets and TMEs. What advice would it be?
I think what I would say is that don't let anybody tell you what can't be done. It's like a lot of people have a lot of opinions and all, and that's all great. But I think a good example is like Henry Ford, right? He used to have a very strong uh, invention. Like he used to encourage his people to invent stuff, but he ensured that they never wrote anything down. So they tried certain things and it didn't work out. There was no record of it. So everybody asked them that it makes sense to put it on record so that we don't waste time and money again. But his logic was that right now, with this technology, under these circumstances, with these people, we were not able to do it. It does not mean 10 years down the line, it will not be workable because people change, thinking changes, idea changes, technology changes, right? So that's a good example to take in keep in mind. you know Things change. Everybody, and a lot of stuff is done. Everything's been done before. It's not like you're reinventing the wheel, right? There's been thousands and thousands of lives before us, and they've all done their bit and made their mistakes and done it before. And so I'm not saying that you go out of your way to keep hammering at something that is difficult to do or not possible to do. But you have to kind of be sensible and balanced about it and take it forward. Like do it in a way that is balanced and give it a shot. Give it a shot. I'm not saying getting obsessed about it, but
Hmm.
giving it a shot is a good idea. I believe in that.
And what about for the operational managers? Anything specific for them?
What advice I would give them, like somebody who's trying to get into operations?
No, no, no. As for, say, the second mate, third and fourth engineer, operational guys on ship.
mm, to them I would say that get your command. Yeah, that always helps. Unless you have a very clear dislike for the sea and you don't want to be there and you have a plan, get your class one, get your command, focus on that, learn the job, whatever's in front of you. Short term, whatever's in front of you, do it to your best of your ability and learn as best you can. Get your promotions, get your exams cleared, you know, and move it up and try to get your masters and get your command. It kind of once you get your command and once you've done your bit, it puts a lot of ghosts and skeletons to rest. you know
Okay, okay. For the top four.
what was I see the top four? See what you want to do next. Yeah, it's very important. I think it's very important to see what you want to do next, because by the time you're 40 or you're 45 or something, you've already done it. You've done everything, and when you've done it, you would have done 100 wettings by then. You would have done sale and purchase inspection. You've done dockings. You would have done accident investigation. You would have gotten into a mess. You would have gotten out of it, hopefully. You would have learned a lot. So by the time you're 40, 45, it kind of gets like run of the mill. Yeah, you kind of like start looking for things to learn. So don't let your don't let yourself get into that position, right? You don't start digging a well when you get thirsty, right?
Hmm, 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 hmm.
You got to kind of anticipate it a little bit, right? So don't let that happen to you. Don't get bored. You've got one life to live. I think it's important to, you know, uh, juice it and milk it as best you can. Yeah, you make good memories, make a good story. Yeah, you
Okay.
don't put yourself in a position where you're like, no, I'm bored. I don't know what to do. Your career is going to be like, when you're at sea, your career is 50-60% of your life.
Hmm, hmm, hmm. You mentioned about memories and stories, and that's my last question to you, Captain Abhay. When you look back on your career, 10 or 20 years from now,
Hmm.
what moment do you think you will smile about the most?
Hmm. The most, the biggest, I think, there are like, for me personally, my nature is to, bring people together and, build things, to coordinate, to kind of, assimilate the best and bring it out. That's what I do. That's my nature. That's what I enjoy the most. So there are days, yeah, when you go to work and you come back home whistling because you've done a good job. You know you did a good job. You know you've have that satisfaction, and that satisfaction, it's not something that you can take lightly. We as seafarers, we are always trying. It's all about risk assessment. We're trying to control the risk.
Mm-hmm.
If this happens, if that happens. So you look at the negative and you try to cap it and you try to control that risk. But we don't do the same for the joy that we get. When you get the luck of the draw, you got lucky with a deal, you got lucky with, you know, uh,
You're
some
fortuitous,
happenstance.
basically.
Yeah, you're fortuitous and you had a certain happenstance which kind of went your way. You just swallow it and take it for granted. Bad luck you remember, the risk you remember, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's important to kind of like, kind of keep a track of your wins and the times that you actually did something, no matter how small it was. It could be something very, which does not have like $1 billion commercial impact, but something that you did that nobody else thought of, and you found a solution, and it was a permanent solution, and it was a problem solved. So that moment when you whistle, when you leave the office, and you're coming back home, and you feel that you've done a good job, that's the moment. That feeling is what I would want to remember.
Awesome. Uh, this is the first time. I mean, my notepad is full with the conversations we had on the sale and purchase, and even towards the end, the couple of points that I was just making a note of that are keep track of your wins, and also something you did that nobody thought of. So this is what I would want to take away from this conversation,
Yeah,
and
within
also the
shipping.
books that you mentioned.
See, shipping is built on the three B's, man. Right? Bullshit, bakshish, and bamboo. Right? So to have original thought, which cannot be coincide with anything else, that's a big deal, and that's a big deal.
Okay, okay. Thank you, Captain Abhay. It was wonderful talking to you. I mean, and it had that flavor of philosophy to it that True Blue Mariner does bring in, even though you quit sailing so many years back. Wonderful to also learn about the grind of sale and purchase. We as seafarers normally don't, and as you rightly
Yeah,
said, you have no clue
you'll
what's
never
happening
find
on the
out. You'll
other
never
side.
find out
Yeah.
about it. Yeah.
Thank you so much for making, taking out so much time from your schedules for spending with us. I hope to interact with you at a later cycle, which perhaps should coincide with a boom or bust, so that we could, delve into even more granularities of sale and purchase. Look forward to our next conversation. Thank you so much.
Perfect. Thank you so much.